Hello, everybody. It is June 29th. We got a little George Michael wrapping out the last Wednesday of Pride Month and his freedom
God, it's
song.
almost this month went by fast.
Well, didn't
it feels like now.
It kind of feels like we had at least 45 days.
Yeah.
Certain ways.
Yeah.
It was an action-packed month. It felt like, like 2021 every month felt long. And this felt more like a month that would have been in 2020 or 2021. And this one has felt very heavy, but very exciting. Like you've had the mix of Pride celebrations and the excitement that we're going to get back to some kind of new normal. But at the same time, some really
chicanery and fuckery.
Yeah, a whole lot of it, like truckloads of it. It just seems very, very overwhelming and very. I know a lot of people are just mentally exhausted when I've had conversations with them, and it just seems like the tone and tenor of the month just got a little heavier as we go on.
Yeah.
With the mass shootings and the debate in Congress about what to do about it. And of course, obviously, the biggest topic of the day, the Roe versus Wade, decision, and knowing how far in advance we knew that this was happening.
Yeah.
It just put a real cloud over. By the time the ruling happened, it was anticlimactic almost. And so,
I was going to mention that. I don't know if it's one of your topics today, but anyway, hey, Jen. Hey, Boo.
Hey, Boo.
How are you?
Pretty good. We've already spent an hour together talking. Of course, we see each other all the time. But
that's right. Yep.
We see each other every week for sure because of our shows. But if for people that maybe just watch this show or listen to this show on the podcast channels, audio podcast channels, we do a different show. We do a companion show that is different theme, different deal, but it's in a totally different format. But but it's a community show we've been doing for almost 4 years now.
Yeah.
And so time flies.
Next week will be our 200th show.
Wow.
Yeah,
because we did double up on some shows during the early days of the pandemic. We did a Wednesday and a Saturday. Now we just do.
That's right.
Still just do the Wednesday one. But we definitely have some heavy, I think there's been a heaviness, and so, hopefully this show, we'll try to make it as funny as we can and all that without getting too heavy. And I think some of the topics are just really, I don't know, they're as light as they could be, but we'll jump right into it. And then we can segue on what you're about to say.
Two queers in a truck.
Two queers in a truck. Here we go. Topic number one. For you, maybe that are tuning in the first time on this episode, we do 6 topics of some kind, and we time them so you might hear an alarm go off. It's high tech. It comes off my iPhone. We spare no expense on this show.
Exactly.
It's about as bootleg as you can get. But the first one is the Venn diagram between the gays and the antis of everything couldn't be further apart. You know how you do those little interlocking circle Venn diagrams. And it's really about the Roe versus Wade. A lot of anti-Roe versus Wade people went to some of the protests over the weekend, and their common theme was a lot of these people were saying we would love to adopt babies. But every time that they're asked, they go, oh, well, we don't really want to make that choice right now. I think it's ironic. But how many LGBT families want to adopt but aren't allowed to? Either because most of the adoption agencies are religious-based and they won't adopt to LGBT people in some states and are allowed to discriminate that. But there's literally 120,000 mostly babies, but young children that are in the adoption pipeline that aren't being adopted right now in the United States right now today. 400,000 total kids in the foster care system in the United States. And we're creating a whole new pipeline of children that being born into this world that clearly, at least the host person is carrying for 9 months, really can't provide for them, or is in a situation where it's inappropriate and was not allowed to make the choice of aborting them.
Sure.
So you're dumping more kids into this country when we can't handle the ones we got.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a fairly good-sized city of kids sitting in a foster care system, but then we also have this weird deal that people that are against abortion aren't willing to adopt them, not willing to be part of the solution. But yet, there's tons of LGBT. I know tons of gay men that would love to adopt kids and would provide a wonderful household. I know as a queer person, I don't want to adopt kids, but also I've raised kids, and a lot of couples don't. A lot of gay families and lesbian families don't. But for the ones that do, there's tons of loving homes that are forbidden because of the same people. And I think it's such an irony that the people that don't want LGBT families to adopt kids or foster kids are the same ones bringing more kids into this world that we can't provide for them. So
the evangelical model, this white evangelical model, but like you said, they're anti everything. Right. They hate everything. That model is not sustainable.
Yeah.
Demographics of this country has changed. Even if 70% of us went away, they couldn't keep the country alive. There's not, and so this is why I think that their model of being anti-everything is going to fail over the next couple of years. I hope sooner than later, is because by them saying if they're going to go after contraceptives, then they're saying we don't even want you to even possibly have a baby, which means that their own people will be violating what they even believe, because many of them only have 1 or 2 kids. Yeah, many of them only have 1 or 2 kids, which means either they're not having sex, or they're having sex with other people, or they're using contraceptives.
And one of the most ironic things about it, if you go way back to the beginnings of when the first UK British invaders came to North America, is the second wave of them was called the Puritans. And they were so hated in their country that King James had exiled them to continental Europe, but kicked them out there all in like the Amsterdam area. And then he sat back and said, well, I mean, something happened to the Pilgrims, so we don't know what to do, but we've got these people over here that's caused so much problems here, and they were so hyper-religious and zealots, and they were breaking shit, so we had to kick them out. But why don't we grab them and send them over? Yep. If they die and disappear like the Pilgrims, so be it. Wouldn't meant to be. We don't want them anyway. Yep. But we'll put those wackos over there, and they're just wacky enough they may survive, just long enough to get us a beachhead over there. So they send these fools over here. So that's who our original settlers / mentality is religious Christian terrorists that were thrown out of Britain and then sent over here is basically lab rats, more or less, to see if they could survive in North America when some of the other people like the Vikings and some of the other people have tried and failed. And so I think it's so bizarre that people kind of forget that our original air quote founders were not George Washington, not Thomas Jefferson, but these wacko terrorists first. Like the Puritans were terrorists. They filled many of their mindsets and many of their beliefs, these puritanical, wacko, crazy ideas that made them the awful people they are, or were, is it's really the groupthink of alt-right now. Like they're not really different other than the technology. Like if they went in a time machine and went to this era, I'd definitely be a Republican. You know, like they're so bizarre because they claim piety, but yet they really just hate humanity. They hate themselves.
Well,
they hate everything.
I agree. It's all projection because most of the evangelical people that I know, it's not scientific, but most of the people that I know, whether they're in my family, whether I've met them, they're all damaged people that are recovering from something, whether it's an addiction, whether it's a failed marriage, whether it's a failed raising children or something. And it's like they think that they tend to be people who don't want to accept personal responsibility for their failures. So it's easier for them to say it's God's wish, it's God's choice. It's easier for them to say that.
Or somebody else's fault, like the homos.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. If it wasn't for the homos.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't for the homos, I'd have a better job.
Exactly. Yeah. Whatever.
If it wasn't for the homos, my kids would love me.
Whatever wacko excuse they basically want to scapegoat people, just like the Puritans did.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good point. It's a good point, Jen.
It's a very good point.
I'm going to use that story.
It's a great story, and it's actually true. Take a bath and stay off the social media. So we talked about it a little bit on the coffee show. But our hillbilly racist friend, Holly Weaver Smith, in Thomas, North Carolina. So if you are watching this, Holly, or if you have any friends left, but she busted out a racist rant on this last Friday night on TikTok. She went on vacation. So the premise is set up. She went on vacation to Mexico. She came back. She's been here a few days, maybe even a week. I don't know the exact timeline, but she does this. She owns two businesses. So one of them is the Sweet Savannah Boutique, and the other one is Southern Sun Tanning. So she goes on this crazy rant about how bad she smells, but she blames it on the dirty Mexicans from Mexico when she went on vacation. Now, first of all, you're in a personal service business like a tanning place where cleanliness and cleaning the beds between the users is paramount.
Yes.
And a really pretty, predominantly, I guess, female clothing store, boutique, boutiques, even the name, Sweet Savannah. I'm thinking about sweet smelling deodorizers, coconut nectar water, foo-foo, girly. Some of the clothes she was holding up while she was fidgeting for her show looked pretty nice. To one, amplify that you stink and you've been stinking for a while.
Yep.
Well, I know what the solution is. And two, blame it on dirty Mexicans. Look, off and on in my life, I've been in the travel business and the resort business for 15 years. You also come from that industry, Christian. And we've employed people, we manage people in that industry as well. If somebody smelled like the business end of a truck stop and tried to blame it on other people, we'd probably fire them. Like if they came in and there was flies floating around them, they stunk so bad, like a feedlot in West Texas or something. And then they went on a racist rant about dirty Mexicans. First of all, I was like, well, it's called soap, toothpaste, and running your pooty poo in your armpits to the car wash.
I don't know what she was
common
thinking.
sense strikes again. I mean, when I first saw this, the day we recorded this, my jaw dropped. In fact, Christian and I were off camera too, so we laugh about a lot of things. I immediately thought about you, and so I sent it to you. And I don't know.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, "What the heck?"
What was your first thoughts when you?
I thought it was a joke.
That video.
I thought it was a joke. I thought I knew it wasn't a joke, but I was like kind of like maybe hoping it was a joke because I thought surely no one would be so stupid because just what she said was like it was like, and I under my arms itches, I can't get rid of the smell. It's like I just feel like a dirty Mexican and I smell like a taco or an enchiladas and this it's like, what were you thinking?
Well, couple hot takes I have on this deal. First of all, I'm not so sure she actually took a trip to Mexico. It sounds like she got some White Claws.
Yeah.
Went through a Taco Bell delivery window, picked up a whole cachet of greasy tacos from Taco Bell. No offense, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not cordon bleu food. No Michelin 5-star rating for them. It's down and dirty, kind of Mexican fast food, stuff ish.
They got good bean burritos. If you have nothing else,
and they have a great dollar menu.
Exactly.
But anyway, I'm almost thinking she got drunk on White Claws, passed out with
She had to be
wrappers all over herself, and then recorded this TikTok. And to me personally, to blame it on, like, I've traveled fairly extensively for work and for pleasure too, and I've been to resort places in Mexico and the Caribbean and different places all over the country. Worked in the industry, and I'm telling you, there wasn't a single resort or vacation place I've gone to that made me stink. If I stunk, it's because I was out there mowing the lawn or was working or whatever. But my own personal hygiene and body odor or sweet smell and stuff is called personal responsibility, and you're responsible for your own stink. Unless you got some kind of, illness or infection or something like that, maybe. But you definitely didn't get it. I'm hoping you didn't get a massive infection when you went on vacation. I guess it's possible. But it doesn't make your armpits stink, unless they stink or you're not washing, right? But why would you even bring that up when you're doing a business, basically an overglorified TikTok business commercial? An internet business commercial about your place and doing your little TED talk about your little clothing store and anything else you want to talk about. Why would you even bring that up? Like, put the dirty Mexican thing to the side. Let's put the racism in a jar. But just the body odor alone is astonishing that you would even admit that. That's not a selling point.
So the name of this place is Sweet Savannah Boutique, and it's actually her boutique is in Thomasville, North Carolina, and on Facebook, because her website's been closed down, or she turned it down because probably was being bombarded. The phone, you can't call her anymore, and it says a brand new boutique featuring women's, juniors, and plus size boutique clothing, jeans, and accessories, as well as many unique brands like Hey Dude, Simply Southern, Bog Bag, Myra, and much more. So I really hope that people are reaching out to these brands and saying, do you want your brand sold at this particular place? That's the first thing. And secondly, it is really rich for someone from Thomasville, North Carolina, to act like they're bougie.
Yeah. Or admit that they stink and then act like they're bougie.
It's like, I'm from the trailer park and I feel like a dirty Mexican. No, it's just
dirty.
Don't blame them. Yeah, you're just dirty.
Just borrow a couple Dial soap bars and just rub it all over, and then go into a creek or a lake or something and wash it off. And I bet you start to smell a little bit better. And to me, it's also kind of rich that it's called Sweet Savannah.
Yeah.
Which stinks.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's just nothing that evokes a bougie branding when you get on there and go, I stink. I ate too much tacos when I was down in Mexico, and now I smell like a dirty Mexican. Like, what a selling point. Like, despite the racism, just the branding. Like, in business, the reason why you go on Instagram and TikTok and all that is to create a brand and create an image. Nothing evokes quality and cleanliness more than saying you just smell like a dirty Mexican. Like, nothing sells me like, oh boy, I'm going to buy some dress she has on sale because she smells bad. We're going to take a quick break after that, and we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
And we are back. Some people should not have access to social media. I truly believe. I think just like there should be some vetting for driving a car, owning a gun. And it's honestly for their safety. She's not hurting me. She's not hurting you. Honestly, she melted herself down, and justice was served because she's getting doxxed like nobody's business. And maybe people don't realize there is a large Latinx community in North Carolina, and they're also pretty aggressive because I saw the people doxing her on TikTok, and it's more than one person, and they're letting her have it. They are putting her name out there. They're putting her business names out there, and she is getting a TikTok version of justice, and it is sweet to see. That's the great thing about TikTok and Instagram and all these places, is there's nowhere to hide. Once you let your stupidity freak flag fly, don't go crying to anybody. You did it to yourself. Just like you're not washing your body and making yourself stink. You did that to yourself too. Just lay up on the white claws and the greasy food that you're eating. But topic number 3 is bring on the satanic church and the gay churches. And court ruling about churches being able to do what they want, and that they can, I'm blanking on the actual ruling, but more or less that they can pray at schools. Yeah, I think it was the coach games, stuff like that, and the Supreme Court and other courts have ruled in favor of churches on other things like religious freedom, and then do this and do that. So I'm all for that. But don't go crying to us again when we start funding the satanic church adoption agencies. We start applying for that federal money to operate satanic church schools, the gay churches, the Jewish synagogues, the Islamic mosques, start sponsoring schools and adoption agencies and stuff like that. It's time to just turn that table and go, you know what? You in a religious state, you're going to get a full shit sandwich of religion. And any other churches, maybe Christian and I are going to go to Queers in a Truck Church, the first church of the party in the rainbow. And I think it would be great to run a lot of these new age churches and go, we filed for a nonprofit. We're just here to help kids, and just lace them up. I mean, just lace them up. Kind of like the Black Panthers did to Reagan when they were handing guns out like candy in the 1960s in California. So the Black Panthers said, we're going to arm up too.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. That's what I said.
They started showing up at all these white people places, protesting, but they had guns. Man, all of a sudden Reagan passed all those gun control rules. But it was shot out of a cannon. I think we need to do the same thing. I think we need to buy tons of guns. I think we need to start up hundreds, if not thousands, of churches. They're great tax dollars anyway.
Exactly.
They're just essentially social clubs. Is what they're really
you know what, Jenny? You hit the nail right on the head.
I mean, the Mormons made up their own religion. Like Joseph Smith, he goes, this is a great business to get into. His dad were in the fake archaeological relics business, and they figured they got busted for that, almost went to jail. So they said, we can't do this anymore. What should we do? Start up a church. It's the oldest scam in the world. And they created an entire religion and wrote a book.
I kind of what comes to my mind is the Dixie Chicks, or now they're called the Chicks, or right? Is that their name? They changed their name to the Chicks. They used to be the Dixie Chicks, and they have a song called "I'm Not Ready to Play Nice." That comes to my mind. I'm tired of being nice. I think we need to start eye for an eye. Exactly what you said. Start churches. Start doing exactly what they're doing. And I've said this before, with all the stuff they're passing in Florida, you know what? If there are two, a boy and a girl holding hands in a high school, sue the school, because that's promoting sex. You know, I mean, it needs to be.
They're grooming us for heterosexuality.
Exactly.
I mean, to me, everything that they create a rule for that's unhinged and unlawful.
Yep. We need to do the same.
We just go, okay, we accept it.
Yep.
We accept the
Yep.
challenge.
Exactly.
Thank you. Just thank them for it. And send them out some prayers and some
prayers.
As thoughts and prayers and go, thanks for the idea.
Exactly.
And a bunch of really wealthy people that are progressive and say, I've got an idea for you.
Exactly.
We'll promote your Amazon.
Yeah.
But I need funding for my church.
Exactly.
We've got a huge social network of Amazon churches, gay churches and satanic churches fueled by Amazon. They just have a good old time with it. And I'm telling you, it would be hilarious because what are they going to do?
Yeah, what can they do?
I mean, so if you want to have a theocracy, let's do it. But
it's more of us.
We're going to have mixed drinks instead of wine.
Exactly.
We're going to have all kinds of new rules. I'm going to write a whole new book. And it's going to be hilarious, especially when we start opening up adoption agencies,
I could
placement agencies.
I think we can do that.
And foster care and do it the right way and actually treat kids with dignity and respect and educate them too. We'll even educate them on the replacement theory and CRT while we're at it. And all kinds of other stuff. And we'll just have a great time. I mean, we'll just feed in. What we need to do is just feed into the craziness. It's kind of like
I agree.
Mel Gibson's character in the Lethal Weapon movies. In the very first one, in fact, it was at the beginning of the movie when there was this guy that was going to jump off a building, and Mel Gibson went up to the top of the building where he was at, which you're not really supposed to do, and he got real close to him. And Danny Glover's partner was like, "Oh, don't do that." He steps out on the ledge with this guy. He's like empathizing with him. He's getting a little closer, and the guy's trusting him anymore. And then he takes the handcuffs and handcuffs the guy and handcuffs himself to the potential jumper. And he goes, "You really want to jump? You really want to jump?
Yeah.
I've got a special bullet. I think about killing myself every day." And then takes the dude, and they jump off the building together and control the fall and land that deal. And that's when Danny Glover realizes his partner is a little unhinged. We should just take the jump with them.
Exactly.
And we'll do it right. We'll control the fall, and we will prove to them we can be just as crazy, but we're going to do it for good, and we're going to save lives in the process. But we're also going to have a little bit of fun with that. And
I agree.
I could just see some like what's his face with the 700 Club. Can you imagine the Crypt Keeper himself, Robinson or whatever?
I think they have opened a can of worms that they're going to regret.
Yeah, and we should just walk through that door with them.
I agree.
And I may just name a religion after myself. Boom. But anyway, but drag queens reading stories really can help people. Drag queens aren't the problem. They literally are not the ones like these Republicans, including here in Union County, have gotten the drag queen story hour canceled in Union County and many other places in America, and have just blown, of course, taken an absolute lie and just blown it out of proportion about how horrible it is that somebody dressed in basically almost clown, playful makeup and colorful dresses and reading, little kids' books and animated voices and stuff like that is the most horrible thing. That's literally the only time they spend with those kids. They don't even know these kids. And so, but it's made it sound like it's the apocalypse and the four horsemen and just all this gnashing of teeth and just, and I think they're just jealous because they can't go to this story hour and come out and not stay in the closet. When on the converse, 330,000 kids between 1950 and 2000, court documented, got molested by Catholic priests, Catholic camps, and Catholic scout leaders. Just in the Catholic Church, 330,000 kids that they know of.
Yeah.
Just in that group. But they're focused on drag queens.
Yeah.
To me, it's like going to the circus and being focused on the elephant poop.
Mm-hmm.
Elephant poop's terrible. It just ruined the whole circus.
Yeah.
I'm never going to another circus because the animals poop wherever they wanted to. They didn't go to the toilet like a decent person. They're just horrible. And it's bizarre they're missing the point. Like, you won't take care of your own religion, Christianity, which I blame some Christians on Facebook today because they were, but we're the good Christians. No, there is no such thing as good Christians. If you're not holding the other people in your faith accountable for what they're doing, which is flat out terrorism, then you can claim, and one of them claim, I don't really go to church. Then she changes, so I go to church occasionally. And I'm going, no, you're just trying to let yourself off the hook. But you could right now step up and say, yeah, Christianity does need to clean up its house. And it does need to atone for its transgressions.
Yeah.
But it won't. And it won't own this, or the New Baptist, Southern Baptist report, that hundreds of pastors sexually abuse kids and other people.
Yeah.
And that a good chunk of them are right there from Texas. And that's what, again, the number was higher than they expected. And it's something that they knew about, like you did not know that existed, because just like the Catholic Church, the Southern Baptists have been covering it up too. But we'll focus on drag queens.
Yeah.
We'll focus on people that don't get to groom these kids every week. We're going to focus on somebody that sees kids with their parents on a one-off event at a public library in a public place and reads them one book.
Hey, Jen, you and I went to this last weekend. We went to kind of like a fundraiser drag show, a drag watch here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there was several drag performers. And of the crowd, 70% were heterosexuals?
Yeah,
right.
I think so.
Right. So, drag performers and drag shows are more popular with non-gay people than they are with gay people. And that gives me hope. That gives me hope because these outliners that you're talking about, that hate everything, they don't even represent the majority of their own people.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so I am a little inspired when we went and we looked around and we saw the people. I was like, wow, I was inspired by that. At least here, it shows
that's pretty common.
The next generation is more accepting.
You look at the branding of the RuPaul brand, which is probably the most famous branding of the drag arts in the world right now. They have multiple TV shows. They have one in the UK and other countries. They have multiple ones here in America. And the fact that some more than just the LGBT community obviously is watching it based on their ratings, and the fact they've been on the air a considerable amount of time, many LGBT genres of entertainment, whether it's pride or drag or burlesque or any other art forms that have a lot of LGBT in it, clearly, and even music, for example, look how many people have come out as bi or trans or non-binary or queer of some type, including Will Smith's son. And Elon
Musk's son
just became a daughter, and
yes, exactly,
as a trans girl, and changed her name, took away his last name.
Exactly,
that says a lot. But truthfully, you are seeing, especially in the younger generations, which many of the people at that event were younger than you and I, probably millennials and down, the majority of the crowd, and very open, very accepting, had a great time, was hooting and hollering because it was fun. We're selling fun.
Yeah.
We don't have the access to people on a repetitive basis like schools and churches do, for example, where the real grooming happens and where these pedophile pastors are having access to these kids in private situations at camps and things like that, where I know back in Missouri, there was a camp counselor who had been molesting boys for over 10 years. Like, And it was a Christian camp, Christian base, Christian themed, the whole 9 yards. Like they sold that as a selling point. But yet he was molesting hundreds of boys over that lifetime. It just is sad when they use that to harm people. We are going to take our second break, and we will be right back. Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy time. But I definitely wanted to bring that up because I saw an article on Twitter that was talking about this and talking about, the Catholic Church and the Southern Baptist Church and all these entities that have such, even like the Duggar family that had the 20 kids and counting, or how many, like one of the first generation kids, he just got 12 years in prison for child porn and all kinds of other, deal. And he also was in leadership in the Republican Party, including knowing Lindsey Graham real well, and our friend from Texas, Lady Cruz, and a whole bunch of others. You just wonder when they scream about grooming. You just got to know the moment they make a charge. You immediately need to start investigating them all.
Exactly.
Because you're going to dig up dirt. I mean, but our next topic is, white supremacy is good enough for me. It's good enough for you. Mary Miller, a Republican congresswoman, at a Trump rally with Trump on the stage with her, proclaimed over the weekend, "Thank you to all the MAGA patriots for supporting the SCOTUS and its historic victory for white life in the United States."
Saw that.
It was very clear she meant to say white life. And which we all know one of their biggest objections to abortion is because white women have so publicly embraced abortion and health care, reproductive health care, which wasn't always the case. Abortion primarily was heavy in the Black community. And there's a whole history there and a whole bunch of other things. But once it shifted and got widely accepted in the white community, that's about the time they started protesting it. And about
they don't want the white babies to die. They don't really care about the Black brown. They're just
it's a power thing. And so I just thought it was ironic that she said what we all knew they thought, but said it at a Trump rally on stage with Trump standing right there. And Trump kind of had this double take, he was like, I think she just said that. She said something I wouldn't even say.
So apparently her office released a statement later saying that she misspoke. She meant to say right to life, not white life. So she was saying, thank you for something right to life. That's what she said. That's what they said she was supposed to say, but she misspoke and said white life.
Well, the only correction I would say is she didn't misspoke. She said exactly what was on her mind.
Exactly.
It was just a Freudian slip that she just let that out of the pie hole and said what she was really thinking, which is, you just saved a bunch of white lives, a bunch of white babies. But definitely, she didn't misspeak. It was very clear. I played it 4 or 5 times, and she clearly, you can even read her lips, and she enunciates white. And I'm sorry, white and right, you can't faux pas that. You said what you said. Now just own it. And again, it goes back to accountability. She clearly meant what she said. They can
that would all. Hey Jen, that would be like me saying, I really want to this weekend go and meet a tennis player.
Yeah. You know what you're saying, and it wasn't. She was very proud of what she said. She didn't scramble. You saw the look on Trump's face. she knew exactly, like, if you, like, I would understand, because George W. Bush was famous for this. Is he mixes up a lot of words. And he's not a very good speaker. And he did that all the time in Texas as governor, and even when he ran for president. And he got made fun of a lot of, and he actually has a learning disability. But he also corrected, even like the other day when he was giving that speech, he was talking about the Ukraine.
And he said,
"I just war," but he actually ended up saying, we shouldn't have invaded Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
And then he went back and said, "Oh, no, the Ukraine too." But then he goes, "But also that too." And then he kind of giggled. Like he knew what he said. He mixed it up. It wasn't in his speech, but he said what he said, and he even acknowledged it with a joke. But clearly, he caught it in the moment. And let's just agree that George W. Bush is not a rocket doctor. Like, he's not the smartest tool in the shed. That's why Dick Cheney ended up being his vice president, was that Dick Cheney was really going to make policy for him and be able to speak the big words. So if George W. Bush in his advanced age can catch that, this younger congresswoman clearly meant to say white life.
Yeah.
Not right to life. There's a huge difference in diction. And if she meant to say right to life and she heard coming out of her voice box white life, you would immediately correct it. She's just like crowing and all chest pumped out, and she was very happy with what she said. And these were close enough together. Like, you can go play the George W. Bush clip, go play that clip, and you can see a Republican that literally made a mistake, acknowledged the mistake, acknowledged that he made a mistake with invading Iraq and Afghanistan, and one person that meant what she said and now is trying to double tack, just like our friend in Collinsville, North Carolina. And
but don't you, but Jenny, don't you think, this is what I was thinking about earlier. This lady that made that terrible racist statement that you're talking about here in North Carolina, usually, we wait a week, someone will post that she said something else before. It's not like, usually someone like that, there's more stuff that comes out.
Oh, well, both of these women are racist.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, the kook, the congresswoman, this Miller, which I don't even know which state she's from, but it doesn't matter, and our friend in Thomasville, both clearly are racist. And you just don't wash that off with a bar of soap. Our friend in Thomasville probably needs a bar of soap, maybe even some mouthwash too. But and a change in diet. But when you say it, you said it. Just own it and just take responsibility for it. But what irks me is the group of personal responsibility never takes responsibility. They never own their own chicanery and fuckery that they've been doing for hundreds of years. And therein lies my problem. Therein lies my biggest problem with them. I don't have a problem necessarily with somebody that does something evil. I'm not going to associate with them if they own it. If they're like a Bond villain, they laugh about it and got their little kitty cat in their lap and they're laughing at Mr. Bond and saying, "Yeah, I mean to kill you and I killed your friends too," and then laugh about it. I'm cool with a Bond villain.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to hang out with that person. But when you own it, at least you own it.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and you lie about what you said or try to change the narrative to make you not look like the evil human being that you are, it's like, no, I'm not buying it. You said white life. You meant to say white life. You clearly didn't go back and catch it. You clearly didn't try to catch it. And if you're a congressperson that has been on the campaign trail and you're if you were good enough to win office, you should be able to catch something like that.
Yeah.
Even George W. Bush caught that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we've all established, we've known for years,
he's not the
brightest bulb in the past.
Yeah.
He wasn't even as smart as his dad.
Mm-hmm.
At least his dad, his evil was on point. But the next topic is women don't impregnate themselves. And one of the things that's being said in the narratives is, why do we say women that get pregnant? We should be saying when and if a man impregnates someone. And we should be putting the initial burden on men. We should be getting used to saying, well, when a man gets a woman pregnant, the man should be accountable. The man should use condoms. The man should, pull out, do different methods of sex, whatever. Like, why do we put the burden and just tell women, oh, just close your legs. Don't get drunk. Don't do this. Don't go to family reunions in Arkansas. Whatever the case may be. But women don't impregnate themselves. Why do we put the entire mental, physical, every burden on them when clearly men are the problem?
So Jen, you said in one of the other segments about how we just need to go through that door and go full force. There was a state representative in Florida that proposed legislation, it won't pass, that all men would be forced to get vasectomies until they turn 21 or until they can actually prove that they can provide for a child. Of course, it's not going to pass, but it was more of a statement. I really wish we had someone here in North Carolina and other states that would put these bills and say every man who has sex with a woman must put aside money in a trust fund to provide for that child. So when that child is born, the state doesn't have to pay for that child.
And or some kind of pregnancy liability insurance.
Exactly.
Just like when you drive a car in any state, you have to have proof of liability insurance. So if you do get pulled over, if you do register the car, anything like that, you have to have that little piece of paper or have it on your phone or something. You have to prove that you are financially responsible. Because most people, I think the requirement in most states is like $15,000 to $30,000 that you have to have access to, which comes in the form of basically a bond or an insurance policy. Because most people are not going to carry $15,000 to $30,000 cash in their glove box, or in my case, I don't have anywhere close to $15,000 worth of cash liquidity. I'm sometimes I have less than $150 in my checking account, much less $1,500 or $15,000. So I carry insurance through my insurance company. That if I am in an accident, I can at least pay for the other person's car. I can pay for my car, so on and so forth. Well, a child is an 18-year commitment after birth, and there's a lot of expenses before birth. So there should be liability insurance on penises and guns. They both go off, sometimes bad times, and you should be required to carry insurance on both. You should be responsible for both. And I think what the insurance would do, just like with driving, your fear of insurance rates going up, it makes you personally responsible. So if you're in a dance club trying to pick up a woman and a police officer comes up to you and says, do you have pregnancy insurance? You should be able to provide it. And if you don't, you should be kicked out of the club.
So Jen, what are your thoughts about, I know we don't have a lot of time, but the groups of people like the pro-life movement people, and there's a lot of groups, names of them, they fought for 50 years for this, okay? 50 years. And they got it. So what they're saying now, because there's nothing else really for them to fight, this is really their only goal. Now they've said, we're going to turn our attention to providing for the child. All their focus is going to be on providing for the child. What do you think that's actually going to occur? I don't think. I think what's going to happen is
they've had 50 years to do that in our current system. So we have 400,000 kids right today, over 400,000 kids in the American foster system. Your dare to be great moment, just like the good guy with the gun theory, that's all crap too, it passed a long time ago. I don't see the conservative alt-right wackos living up to any of that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have 400,000 kids in our foster system. We wouldn't have 120,000 adoptable right now, but they're literally adoptable right now. They're in the adoption track. They're literally all you got to do is go provide proof of responsibility and background checks and all that, just like we should with guns, and go adopt those babies, go adopt those kids. Like there's
I think
120,000 of them, and how many wacko Republicans are out there? There's way more than 120,000 families that are Republican. Why aren't they going and picking up these kids right today? Like I don't want to hear another hope and prayer.
I just don't think. Yeah. I just don't think that all these people, especially a lot of the young people that were in this pro-life movement, because that was just something for them to do, that made them feel good with their church and stuff. Now that this is over, there's really nothing. I mean, I believe what's going to happen is, kind of like with marriage equality. When marriage equality passed, there were some gays that said, okay, and they kind of stopped being concerned. This is the same problem is going to happen to them. And over the next couple of years, there's just going to be not that, you know how we always say, well, you got to fight every year, you can't take it. They've been doing that for 50 years, and they have finally won, and they're celebrating. They're tired. The next 10 years, I think we're going to see it go this way, because there's no, I think they're tired.
Well, and I think we need to stop by some of the state offices and adoption agencies and get packets of paperwork.
Yeah.
And every anti-abortion, anti-woman church out there is go meet the pastor and go
and say, here you go.
Adoption paperwork for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good idea.
Like,
yeah.
I'm coming to Sunday to sign up people in your church.
Yeah.
You're not doing a sermon. I'm doing a pitch on you all need to do adoption and foster in this church. You need to start fostering kids in your area. And if you don't, we need to burn this church down or something.
Yeah.
Like you need to shut your doors, because
I agree.
You've made political protests, which are technically illegal for a church to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be doxing these churches.
Yeah.
But we also ought to be handing them, when they're protesting, like Planned Parenthood, for example, here in Charlotte, what we need to do is get packets of paperwork.
Yeah.
And go up to them, and record it, and then put it on the Google machine and everywhere else, on the TikTok. Going, why aren't you fostering kids? Why aren't you adopting kids? You got a big old greasy church. Y'all got money, clearly, because you're getting 10% of it or more. And clearly you have enough time, because you're doing this abortion tourism and harassing people at this clinic. Why aren't you adopting? Here, I made it easy. So who's going to step up in this group? Otherwise, you need to leave. Like,
good point.
Practice what you preach, or shut the fuck up. I'm a big firm believer. I've got a sports background, and when I had people trash talking me on the basketball court or football, I would just look at them. I wouldn't even say much to them. I'm going, we'll see at the end of the game. And that's it. That's all I would say to them. And then slapped them all up and down the football field and destroyed them on the basketball court. It was amazing how quiet, the longer the game went, the quieter they got. Because real people, especially real men, back up. If you want to be a real man, show me. I used to live in Missouri, which was the show me state. Show me the money, show me the responsibility, show me the personal responsibility. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear about how bad abortion is when you let 400,000 kids and babies flounder in a system of strangers.
I think the pro-life people really never wanted this to happen, because they just wanted to keep fighting pro-life. Just like I don't think Trump wanted to win the election. I think they just wanted to.
I disagree. Part of his saying was the win.
Okay.
He just knew he wasn't personally responsible enough or smart enough to be president.
Okay.
But no, he wanted to win because he had all his kids' jobs. Like he had, he thought he was going to get 8 years of He was,
but I don't think the pro-life people actually wanted. It has been going on so long. That's all all they know was to fight it. Now that it's over, it's like, all right.
I think it was just a long line of evil that they've always done.
Yeah.
Like they're the same churches that are anti-gay, anti-trans.
Yeah, of course.
The same jackass Skip Brennan that shows up. to the
What else? But what else would he do? What else he's going to do?
He shows up at every one of them.
Mm-hmm. So this is. I know we're out of time, but this is what I think is interesting. If you look at track records, the Boy Scouts of America started to accept gay members and also gay scout leaders
and trans leaders.
Yes, within 8 years, they're now marching in Pride Parade. That's how quickly that organization changed. Marriage equality, we got marriage equality like within 4 or 5 years. It happened so quickly. We have a track record, we as in progressives, we have a track record of when we decide to do something, we can make change within 10 years. It takes them 50 years.
Oh yeah. And they never win for very long. Like
no,
this
exactly.
is a very and they only won in the states that already had when Roe gets overturned, a trigger law.
Yeah.
So some never took the anti-abortion laws off the books, so those will be back into effect. Yeah. Some that were passed recently, like in the last year or two, they go into effect immediately, unless there's injunctions in place.
Which I think they're doing.
But in all total, I believe it's about 15 states that currently have anti-abortion laws in some level in place.
Yeah.
And about another 5 or 6 that are poised to push it through their deal. So I think it's around 20-ish. I looked it up the other day, and it was, I would say the over or under is right around 20 states. So about 40% of our states will have anti-abortion laws on the books, completed and done probably within the next 30 days. We're seeing it. But that also means that 60% of our states do have legal access to abortion as healthcare, which is what it really is. That's the good bad of it. But I think the most important deal is to start focusing again, like setting up gay churches and gay schools and gay adoption agencies. And the other thing that's really important is, you start doxing these people at their churches when they're coming out of that church on Sunday, or you just walk in and go, hey, I want to speak, because a lot of them will have that speak. I'm like, hey, I want to speak. Hey, I've got foster care and adoption paperwork right here. So I know you guys are dying to foster and adopt kids right now. And so see me after the service, and I'm going to sign y'all up. So I need at least 20 families to follow through on this. And I'm going to get your names and phone numbers, and we're going to do this. Right? Y'all are excited. You're going to save kids' lives. You're going to be pro-life, right? And record it. And if you don't get any takers, you just go, here's some good Christians. This is the name of the church. This is the name of the pastor. And you just start doxing them one by one. You do it all over America. And I guarantee you, things like that will change that. It'll shut them up. Kind of like Roosevelt did when he said, I'm going to add 4 more court members in the Supreme Court. I go, no, you can do the New Deal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, all Biden has to do is go, well,
I hope he does something.
4 more spots on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
You watch them back off a lot of those. Like, there's a lot the president and Congress can do. And some of it's just grassroots. We'll just hammer them like we always do. Like, it'll be fun.
Yep.
We'll videotape it. We'll giggle.
That's right.
Laugh about it. But anyway, this is it. We've gone way over. I apologize for the length, but we figured it's the 5th show of the month, and it's Pride Month, so we might as well make Pride a little bit longer, which is the central theme of Two Queers and a Truck when we started this a couple of years ago. Appreciate you all hanging in here with us if you made it to the end. And once again, happy International Pride Month to you, my boo, my best friend, and
hey, boo.
And I hope y'all have a safe month of July. There's a lot of wackos out there. Some of them own dress shops. Anyway, happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
A little bit more George Michael freedom. Hope to see y'all soon. Bye, boo. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching, and we appreciate y'all tuning in every week. Happy Pride, International Pride Month. Obviously, My partner in crime, Christian, has got the rainbow going on in multiple ways. I do too. And happy, safe 4th of July as well.
Babu, happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Hello, everybody. We got 2 Queers and Trucks and another episode in the can. We appreciate y'all watching and tuning in every week. Hope that you tune into our podcast, both with Coffee and Pandosi and 2 Queers and a Truck. We talked about all kinds of things this week, from white supremacy to Joe Biden calling somebody a son of a bitch to a whole bunch more. Thanks for tuning in, and y'all be safe.
Bye, Boo Boo.
Bye.